Greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Saturday, the 9th of September today. And I've got fans running again today. Not as hot as it was for yesterday's, but it is still a little stuffy up here in my office today. Today's devotion is entitled Beyond Hope, but Not Help. Beyond Hope, but Not Help. There are passages in Matthew 9, Mark 5, and Luke 8. Today, the quoted verse is from Mark 5:36. Don't be afraid, just believe. Wow, that sounds like a good tattoo. Don't be afraid, just believe. Just believe. We're going to see in this devotion today that Jesus has the power to help those who are facing what seem to be hopeless circumstances. One of the T-shirts, and lots of ministries have varying T-shirts, throughout the years. One of the ones where my daughter Becca works out at Shepherd Community had hopeless on the back of it, but they faded out the less part. It was very effective, I thought. And that's it reminds me of this devotion for today. Either of these two stories of Jesus raising Jairus' daughter or healing the bleeding woman is powerful all on its own. Together, they join to demonstrate that even people who have come to the horizon of human hope can be helped by the power of Jesus. These are heart-wrenching stories. First, we meet a nameless woman afflicted with a bleeding disorder that had plagued her for 12 years. Her disorder left her in a perpetual state of ritual impurity, and that we find that covered in Leviticus 15:25-30. And so she was a social outcast. She had exhausted her financial resources seeking a cure. Now impoverished and in persistent pain, she approached Jesus for help. Her feelings of hopelessness drove her to the ground. She approached Jesus from behind, knowing she shouldn't get near him, knowing she shouldn't touch him, crawling among the legs. I've never had that picture before of the crowd, trying to weave her way through, pressing around the crowd pressing around Jesus. Without speaking a word, she reached as far as she could to briefly touch the hem of Jesus' garment. And she will say that was her goal. That was my thought. If I could only touch the hem of your garment, I could be healed. The second person we meet is given a name and celebrated as a person of high social status. Jairus was a leader in Capernaum, one of the synagogue officials. As such, he was accustomed to being in control of things. But not now. Like the nameless woman, he had reached the horizon of human hope. His 12-year-old daughter was seriously ill and near death. He walked to where Jesus was, but quickly assumed a posture that reflected his helplessness. He fell at the feet of Jesus and spoke words no parent ever wants to contemplate. My little daughter is dying. Mark 5:23. Where others could only voice empathy and offer words of sympathy, Jesus did more. It's kind of like so many do after some kind of major tragedy. Our hearts and prayers are with you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And here recently we've begun to hear people say that's not enough. That's not enough. But that's all that they could offer, the words of sympathy. But Jesus offered more. Jesus did more. The woman experienced immediate healing and received affirmation that her disorder would no longer define her daily living. Daughter, your faith is healed. Your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. Mark 5. As Jesus spoke these words, horrible news arrived from the home of Jairus. His beloved daughter had died. But Jesus wasn't fazed. Don't be afraid, he says to Jairus in verse 36 of Mark 5. Don't be afraid. Just believe. And Jairus did. Then he watched Jesus take the girl's hand and call her back into the land of the living. These two tragic stories, these two tragic stories take us beyond the horizon of human hope. And together, they demonstrate that Jesus' power to help does not stop at our horizon, doesn't stop at our limits. That's why I so often think we need to make sure we're praying with his limits in view. He doesn't have any limits. We need to be praying with that sense of, I only see so far, but my Lord sees the rest. He knows the whole story. He knows what can be done, what will be done, what he wants done. Not my will, but your will be done. That's the way to pray. And then don't worry, just believe. Love these two stories together. Well, they are. They show up together in the scripture passages. Jairus has already asked for help. And remember, he's an important dude. When this woman touches him, and Jesus doesn't put him first, Jesus turns and helps her first. Credits her faith. Encourages her. Frees her from all. She's broke now. Her family is alien. She's alienated from her family because under the law she's unclean. Jesus touches her first, heals her first, addresses her first, and then he turns. In the meantime, that pause, Jairus has got the bad news. Basically, what's the point now, Jesus? And Jesus says those incredible words, don't be afraid. Just believe. And what Jairus get out of that was that Jesus comes to his house and he lifts the daughter up, to them dead daughter, but not to Jesus. There's no such thing as hopelessness for those who put their faith in Jesus. There just isn't. At least there shouldn't be. Don't worry. Just believe. Blessings to you today. That's a great, just write that on a piece of paper, put on your refrigerator. Don't worry. Just believe.